Okay, types of purpose. First purpose is, let me have my pencil here. Yes. First purpose is to inform or explain. ठीक है? To inform or explain the topic जो हम अभी देख रहे थे, है ना? तो inform or explain में क्या होता है कि what kind of questions are answered, right? What are the kind of questions that are there? We have what is it, how does it work, what are the types of elements, what are the different types of whatever we are talking about, right? About an event, what happened, why, when, how did it happen? So combination of all of it will be to inform or explain, right? What is it, matlab, whatever the topic we are talking about. What is it? How does it work? What are its different types? What are its different elements, right? What happened about an event? If we are talking about an event, like we were just talking, so it could be what happened, why, when, and how did it happen, so on and so forth. Did you understand? So what is the end goal of this purpose? The end goal is to either you explain a concept, or you describe something, or you just tell facts, right? Let's say as a reporter, I go to a place and I have to report an event to you. And I am a journalist writing the report of the event. Some accident happened, somebody got an award. Why to talk negative? Somebody got an award, someone helped someone else, right? So I have to just tell you, okay, at this time, at this place, at this hour, on this day, XYZ things have happened. So I am just factually reporting A, B, C, D, what had happened, right? I'm not sharing any opinion. I am not making any suggestion. I am not analyzing. I am not criticizing. I am only informing. I am only explaining. I am only describing. So there are a bunch of passages that you have in your VARC which just narrate what had happened or just inform you about some concept. For example, do you remember the passage we did in last class on topophilia, right? We did that passage on topophilia. Do you remember? Do you remember whoever there was? Yes, yes, very good. So what was there? What was there in that passage? The topophilia is this. It has 3 types and it has negative impacts also. It was copied by the architects, but but they could not, and that turned out to be a disappointment. And it has negative impacts as well. Was author really sharing any opinion, so to say? No, they were just explaining that topophilia kya hota hai, what is the concept, right? Now, what are the contents? You will find facts, definitions, types, examples, processes, implications, history, and background of something. The moment you find these things, you should know the purpose was to inform or to explain. Typical structure of the passages or the articles that are written to inform something is like this. First, you start by introducing. They'll introduce, like they're introduced what is topophilia. They're introduced it. Remember, topophilia is a bond between people and places. That is what we learned in last class. Then they'll give definition. Then they'll explain it. They'll write a paragraph explaining how it is experienced by different people during different situations, and it varies in intensity and extent and all of that, right? Then it gives example, right? Like it mentioned that aesthetic appreciation could be one form of topophilia, it said, right? I am just recollecting it all from our previous class, okay? So it said, aesthetic appreciation is one form of topophilia. So then where do you feel, like let's say you see a rainbow, let's say you see a beautiful flower. What are these? These are examples to explain you what is aesthetic appreciation, right? And then they are done. Okay, so this is how the typical structure of the passages is. It always ends with, very important, it always ends with clear takeaway. There is no debate, there is no judgment, there is no opinion, there is no open-ended thing for you to think about. Jaise Christopher Nolan ki movies hoti hai na, wherein there is no end. You just think what has happened. No, there's a clear takeaway. This is what it is. This is what happened. That's all. No open-ended things. Okay. Common topics where you find it is scientific phenomena, historical, political concepts, social, economic mechanisms, where author wants to tell you about any of these. Okay. So this is the purpose of these are the details of the purpose to inform or to explain. Right? You will find a lot of proper nouns in these kind of articles, like topophilia, the term, totalitarianism, the term. You will find a lot of passages which introduce these heavy terms and go on explaining about it. And we feel like, what is this passage? Nothing. The passage is just telling you what that heavy word is all about. Okay? These passages are very fact heavy. Lot of facts, lot of definitions, no opinions as such. Right? The cue to understand these passages are, If I remove the author and nothing changes, so then it is a, like, let's say Nidhi would have written about topophilia versus we had Nitya writing about topophilia versus I writing about topophilia. It's the same. It doesn't depend upon the author. Which journalist is covering the event doesn't matter because the event happened in a certain sequence. If you remove the author from the scenario and still the passage or the explanation remains the same, we say the passage was factual and the purpose was to inform or to explain. Okay? Nothing changes. Maximum the choice of words, framing of sentences will change, but the explanation won't change. That would be to inform or to explain. Okay. Next purpose we have with us is to explore. A passage is written to explore. Explore what? Explore an idea. What could something mean? Christopher Nolan, back again in the scene. He makes movies which are open for interpretation. Right? What could something mean? What are its different interpretations? What are different possibilities? What could have happened? What can be the reasons? You were just wondering. There's a lot of wondering here, right? What could it be, right? Those kind of passages are exploratory passages. The end goal here is to have an open discussion. Like again, the movies that I've been talking about, Christopher Nolan movies are like that. All of us watch and everybody could have some different meaning, could take away some different meaning out of it. So that is the end goal is you put an open discussion out there. I am laying out all my facts and I am laying out all my thoughts. You are open to deciding what it could mean, or if it is right, if it is wrong, you decide it. That's called to explore. The contents basically are you ask questions, you seek answers, you refer multiple point of views, you say ki one person said this, raise curiosity, this may could have happened. The word may is a lot there, right? Typical structure is you introduce, then you quote different resources. You're like, this is one concept. Let's have a gossip. Like somebody in your class or somebody in your office had a fight with someone else, right? So you are like, okay, this person Ria had like fight with Neha. Okay, so they had a fight, but none of us is aware about, right? So I come home and I tell my sister that this girl Neha had fight with Ria. Okay, and then like Nidhi was telling me that probably she took credit for the presentation that she had made, right? Or Nitya told me that they both like the same guy. That's why, right? Or like, Vidhi is coming and telling me, Vidhi told me that actually Neha was considered for promotion, but then Ria seduced the manager and that's why. So this is what we are all exploring. What could be the reason, right? Right? If I come home and I'm able to tell that actually this and this happened, so then that is information. But if we don't know, so I'm quoting what different people said, and now we're discussing, dude, kya hua hoga? Nini ye hua hoga, nini wo hua hoga. So then that is open-ended confusion. Nowhere near actual passages of CAT, but understand the essence of it, right? It ends up with an open-ended question, something to think or wonder. Common topics are philosophy, literature, cultural studies, sociology. Usually philosophical topics are very ऐसे exploratory. Okay, यहाँ पे in these kind of questions, author's opinions are less, but author quotes many different opinions. इसने ये बोला, उसने वो बोला, उसने वो बोला, उसने वो बोला, without giving a strong opinion themselves. Okay. By the way, we are going to see each of these type. Okay. But abhi, right now, just note all the theory because it's important that you know the theory. Because once we are aware about the theory entirely, then we will solve examples where we see how we applied there. Okay. So author quotes many different opinions without giving an opinion themselves. Author just tells you this. But author is like giving it open-ended. What could it mean? Like this opinion is also right, but this could also have been true. We don't know what could be true. It's only time will tell. That kind of ending, right? So these are exploratory passages. Okay. Okay. Now, third type is to analyze. or to evaluate. Third type is to analyze or to evaluate. How good or bad something is. What are the pros and cons? Right? What are different parts? What are different parts, stages of something? This is how you analyze. Right? Like when we sit together in a team and let's say we post reels for a month and now we are like, okay, this reel performed really good. This reel did not. What could be the reasons? We are looking at different charts. So we are referring to a lot of facts. After referring to facts, we are finding the overlaps, the common points. And from there, we are analyzing. We are analyzing and drawing conclusions, right? We are trying to draw conclusions, but there is no conclusion, but we are trying to draw a conclusion. We are asking questions. What it could be in terms of what could be the reason behind something, not in exploratory way. So that is to analyze or to evaluate that how good or bad something is, right? It assesses positives and negatives of the topic. You will usually have clear separate mentions of both sides. You'll have both sides given. And I am sure you guys must have seen a lot of VRC passages which are like that, which mention the positive and the negative. That is when you're analyzing or evaluating, right? Here, there are a lot of words like however, on the other hand, advocates say this, supporters say this, right? Opposers say this, advocates say this, critics say that, right? So there are a lot of these kind of words, right? The typical structure usually is to introduce a topic, then you write for, then you write against, and then you give a balanced opinion. This, like both things, right? Now here, yeah, this is also true that one paragraph usually is for, other paragraph is usually against. It ends with usually author mildly leaning towards something. Like end may author takes the diplomatic path, but author is like this, that the positive I believe in more, or the negative I believing in a little more. But at the end, he says that both POVs. Exploratory may, there are many POVs. In analyze and evaluate, there are only two, positives and negatives. And author is like, see, both are right, but I think this is a little more right. Or maybe not. But author is leaning, not committing. Author is not like, ye aisa hi hai. Author is more like, this seems a bit more right. That the other thing could also be true. Okay. This is usually for politics, like the topic like democracy. And if you want to write opinions about democracy, you will find the author writing the positives, negatives, and all of it. Right? Policies, tech, socio-economic decisions, reforms, governmental steps, etc. are always analyze and evaluate format. Okay. Here the Q is what? As I told you, Q is if both sides, positive, negative, are told. किसी भी टॉपिक के बारे में if you have both sides positive and negative told, you should be sure that this is an analyze evaluate thinking. Are we clear till now? I want to show off hands so that I know that everybody is in line with whatever I'm saying so far. Very, 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 very good. Okay. Sorry. Then now next we move to our fourth type, 4 out of 5, fourth type, to persuade, take a side or claim. Precisely what happened earlier, but earlier author was like both sides. Here author is like, no, I believe in it. You should agree with me and I'll tell you why. This is what you should believe in. Democracy is good only. There's no negative to it only. Right? So author might write the negative, but it will be just small to just show, see, I'm sensible. It's not that I'm blindly saying something. Just for that element. But otherwise, major part is given to what author wants to say. If author wants to speak for the topic, for. Thoda sa negative, but for. If author wants to be against the topic, author will be like criticize, bad, this, bad. Yeah, it might be good because, this XYZ person said this, but it is again wrong because of this, that. So those kind of topics are to persuade or to claim. Right? The end goal is to convince the reader of the position. यहाँ पे end goal क्या था? End goal was to just evaluate what could be the positives and negatives. But here, author is like, no, I'll convince you. I will convince you. I know what I believe in. I'll convince you why what I have said is right. Okay. Usually, these kind of passages start with two. Just a second. Now, these kind of passages are honestly my favorite passages. Why? Because it's just easier to understand. Yeah. there is no exploration. Like, so factual passages are very boring. Those are very boring. Like, there's no opinion. The exploratory passages are total, like, they mess up with your brain because you're like, what are you trying to say, bro? Third type, it's like diplomatic. But fourth type is best because author is like sure about if they like Modi ji or not, the author is aware. If they like the current governance or not, they are aware. And they'll give you strong claims. They'll give you evidence and examples. See, it is good because of this work, this policy work, that policy work, right? There's a lot of reasoning. There are a lot of opposite views dismissed. Like author will acknowledge the negative views. Like let's say author wants to write this thing that about how PM Modi was the best prime minister India ever got, for example, right? And author is like, it was a successful governance and I believe in it, right? So now I'm going to give you multiple examples of how things were earlier and how they have become better now. What all policies came in and how they helped, how those policies helped, how India has bettered now, how our GDP has improved, this, that. Okay. And there's a lot of evidence, strong claims, reasoning, examples that will come in. And then author will be like, yeah, critics do say that demonetization failed. Or critics do say that there has been a lot of political aligning towards right. But wasn't it happening early? Or I'll give you like multiple other ways to basically, I'll mention the opposite points only to weaken them. I'm mentioning them only to weaken them, not to tell you the other point of view. That is when we say the purpose is to persuade, to claim, or to take a side. There are largely two types in which they move ahead. First, I'll tell you type B first. Type B is like they'll introduce a debate. If there's a debate, if this is right or wrong. Then author will be like, okay, there are some people who say positive, some people who say negative. And then author will take one side, let's say positive. And then author will keep giving his opinions, justifications, examples, more opinions, more justifications, more examples. And author will be like, see, I'm right. You also believe me. Okay. Second type, or here type A, is basically author will start with the opinion only. Author will be like, PM Modi was the best prime minister India ever had. And then author will be like, I say it because, author will keep explaining, and then I'll conclude, see, what I said was right. This kind of articles are to persuade kind of articles. They end with a clear stance on a topic. It's a decisive final paragraph to take a decision. Usually on public policy, economics, governance, social justice, education, institutional criticism, these kind of passages are found. Okay. Last type that we have with us. Is to question or to challenge. Is this even right? What is wrong with the idea? Probably a common dominant narrative here is whatever most people believe. Something that everybody believes in. And then you question it. Right? Something everybody believes in and then you question it. Those kind of topics are the purpose is to question or to challenge something. Right? They question validity, logic, fairness of any commonly accepted belief, and they are like, we thought it was X, but is it really true? And I'll give you a lot of counter examples, and I'll be like, but actually, why is true? Here I am questioning something that was popularly believed. You will tell a popular belief, you will tell why that belief is wrong, and then you will give more evidence to support that, and then you will revise the understanding. So that was wrong, and we thought X, but actually it's Y. Okay, so it ends with correction of old belief, and common topics are history, cultural identity, economics, social change, belief systems, so on. So these are five different purposes that we have, right? Kya tha? First purpose is to inform, where you just say facts. Okay. Second, explore, where you just mention ideas and it is open-ended. Author has no opinions. Both these times, author doesn't give any opinions. Okay. Facts, inform maybe, or explore maybe, author doesn't give opinions. Then author starts giving thoda opinions in analyze. But again, author takes thoda opinions, but then leaves it like both are right. Okay. And then this is where strong opinions start coming in. So this is no opinions. No opinions is a too strong word to say, very less opinions. again, I'll be like mild opinions. There's a lot of leaning in happening, but no like definitive thing. And then the last two are, what was it? What was it? To take a side, persuade. And last one was to question or challenge. Right? So in persuade, author is like ki positive to believe positive, or author will be like negative to believe my negative. Persuading. What I'm saying is right. And question is like, you believed X, but it's actually Y. Okay. So these are heavy on opinions. These are the 5. And then again, we have subcategories to suggest, propose a solution, causal analysis, etc. But we don't really like, I've just written it for the sake of it. But give solution to a problem is to suggest, basically, to give solution to a problem, to do causal analysis that why something is happening. Right? These are also some parts, but very less they come. Okay. And we can put them in one of these 5 buckets as well.